Hello everybody, Germy's Coaster Yard here, and in today's episode of Germanator Gardens, we are going to be sort of continuing where we left off in the last episode. So in the last episode, we basically built this big mountain here, and I will let you watch the last episode to kind of see how it actually looks. But basically, from the ground, it looks a lot bigger than this little stubby little thing. And we used kind of forced perspective, or our best attempt at it with what we can do in Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 to achieve that look of height and distance and size. So, what I want to do in today's episode is sort of extend the rest of this hill slash berm kind of around this area, probably as far as this path goes at least. And then we're kind of work on our log flume, building that around the mountain. And we're going to expand this little pond here as well. I decided that I want the station of the log flume to be built over the water, kind of similar to like if you've been to Cedar Point, how that Maverick Q house, which used to be the station for, I believe, I want to say Whitewater Landing, but I'm pretty sure I might be wrong on that one. That might have been the log flume at the front of the park. I don't remember, to be honest, but how that sort of station slash queue house is built over the water, I kind of want to do the same thing with this one. So in the last episode when we built this mountain, as I'm just absolutely sure you can remember, we kind of focused on building the mountain very manually and very much by hand. And we may do some of that with the hill in today's episode, but I think I want to put the focus on just using the terrain tools and kind of manipulating it that way. And the reason for that is we wanted to be very meticulous with the shape of our mountain here in order to sort of get the best result. But a hill is just a hill, and we're going to be building stuff around it, and that's going to happen as time goes on over an extended period of time. So what I want to do for the hill is basically just I just want to sort of do it with these tools and not, tile by tile, if that makes sense. So some of the different tools we have, our tools that are meant for smoothing out the terrain, etc. And we can also we have tools that will raise the terrain and tools that will lower the terrain. And I actually want to start, I think, with smoothing the terrain. So we have this flattened terrain, or flattened to height at pointer. Let's kind of look at that. I see. So that will change the shape of things a little bit. I'm going to smooth this out real quick though. Back to how it kind of was. So I like to use the flattened terrain tool, and this will bring the terrain sort of to the height that it is at the pointer. I guess kind of like the other tool. And I just want to grab the height where the grass kind of ends right along here. At the base of the mountain, and the reason for that is so we don't have a big hill next to the mountain to ruin the forced perspective. So we're just going to start with this and just get it to a nice even height here and kind of work it around like so. And I'm going to bring it all the way up to the base of our little pond over here. And this will give us sort of a plateau to start. It's not going to be, it's going to be flat all the way across the top, but we're going to work from there. But I really mainly want to do that along the base of the mountain here, like I said, so that way, the hill at its maximum height, it'll probably be a little taller over on this side, but that will be masked by some of the trees we'll put along here and stuff. And ideally, from the front of the park, you won't really see the hill like that. That's kind of the goal anyway. So a lot of times with terrain projects like this, even I just kind of go based on what I know, but I don't really do a whole lot to make sure, I'm not a studied terrain person, I guess, in this game. I have a pretty good understanding of how the tools work, but a lot of what I do is just trial and error, as you've probably kind of seen already in this series. But I think that kind of makes it fun. And I'm going to make this tool a little bigger because I probably 13 will work. Like I said, I want to bring the hill out to about here, but I want to give it a natural shape. So hills are not very rectangular per se in the real world. They kind of taper off and whatnot. And this hill is weird. I mean, this hill could be more of a man-made berm type of thing in the middle of this park, given that it's all very flat. But yeah, we're going to kind of work around this. Okay. And I want to bring it back down. So I want to bring it back down to ground level. So I'm going to come way out to the side where I know the level of the ground has not been changed at all. I'm just going to bring it down like this and just kind of work on this shaping a little bit. I kind of want to make it tapered off to a V shape near the end. Okay, kind of like that. I think that'll work. And then let's grab our raise terrain tools, and we can do, create hill, create mountain, create ridge. I want to do create hill. That'll give us a nice round bump. If I do it over here, in fact, let's get a nice big thing here. And we just go over here where we're out of the way, and we just click on this. You'll see it just gives us a nice round bump, whereas create mountain produces more of a spike. And let's see what create ridge does. So that just is a more exaggerated bump, right? I'm going to flatten these out really quickly as well. Hopefully that won't cause any problems down the line with placing paths. I'll do my best to get these thoroughly. Anyhow, so we're going to use create hill. And in fact, maybe just a little bit smaller than this. Let's come up to 16. That'll work. And we'll just come along here and create a nice gentle hill shape right along this area. I don't notice this hill still kind of looks lumpy, so to speak. That's okay. And we're going to try kind of exaggerate the shape we want a little bit. And you just bring it along little by little. And then we're going to come back to our smooth terrain. And this time I'm going to use the terrain averager tool down here in the lower right. And just sort of work our way all around. And I'm going to get the edges too. So that way it'll make the hill have a nice gradual beginning. And we can even, I guess, click and hold this along here. Careful to avoid the mountain though. And this should kind of average everything out. In fact, that really smooths some stuff out, doesn't it? So we can come back to our hill tool here and just bring some stuff back up a little bit. I don't want this to be enormous, probably no bigger than it is right now. And let's go back to our averager and just make it a nice gentle gradient right along in here. And now this smoother shape is also more berm-like, like maybe it was kind of dirt that was piled here, maybe excavated from somewhere else in the park or what have you. Maybe when they were building the park, they took dirt that they excavated from this pond here and that one there, and kind of piled it here on this mountain to create that. Something like that. I guess it doesn't matter exactly how it got there, but yeah. So now that we have our hill in place, I want to bring along this pond over here to start. So we'll get rid of some of these shrubs and stuff. And this should help us to just kind of make this shape of the pond a little more natural. So let's get rid of the water to make things a little easier on us. And then what we can do is use our flatten tool here. And I'm going to come back down to probably 4 or 5 or 6 will do. And we're just going to bring down this bed of the little pond. And we're going to bring this kind of all the way around our station here. Just to give us some nice space to work with. And then this will also kind of give us a good outline for how we want to do the queue for the ride as well. So, now we can kind of have, the queue can be a bridge or a boardwalk kind of across this little pond. And I think that will work in our favor. So, yes, I think this will do for now. Let's place the water back in here if we can. Yes, and that looks a lot nicer. Again, what we can do along here, let's get our terrain averager and just kind of click it right along, these edges. And let's see what that does. See how that's a lot smoother there now. Then we can come back with that right over in this area as well. Just a touch. I think that will do just fine. Right over here a little bit. Yeah, and look how that makes those edges a lot less pointed and sharp. And I'm going to shrink it down where we're dealing with this pathway stuff over here. Probably just to a 2. Okay. I think we had that issue in the last episode too, if I remember correctly. But yeah, this will work fine. And you know, when we place these plants along the edge, that will help mask those little bumps and bruises. So let's get rid of our water here and then just bring this corner back down. And we'll get this one like so. Perfect. And while we have this, let's go ahead and paint some mud along here. We can make our paintbrush a little bigger now. Just get that right along in there. And then I think we used the muddy grass right along the outside edge. In fact, we can double check and just go right around like this. Actually, let's even put the water back in real quick. That way we kind of know what we're working with here. And just right along the edge of this water, muddy grass. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. A little variety will make it more organic looking. Just like so, though. And then we can even come back with our grass texture here. Just kind of get rid of these little flowers along the edge of the mountain. Just for now. We'll kind of retexture that later. But now we kind of have something to work with here for our log flume and even other attractions. So here's one idea I was thinking of a little bit ago. I want to take the log flume and I want to experiment with this drop into this little basin here. I just want to get rid of it for the time being. Yeah. And I want to mess around with kind of the shaping of the track in here just to see if we can do something any differently. So let's like try an S-bend, for instance. Okay, it's probably not going to work with the scenery, but let's see. What are we missing? I don't even know if it is the scenery that's an issue. No. Probably the terrain. Okay, so we don't have to do an S-bend, but maybe something along here. Like that. And then I want to try using a diagonal sort of final splash instead. We'll try this. And then the goal here is kind of just to have something that is a little bit differently shaped and something that works a little better with this hillside here. We'll see how well that works. And then that kind of puts us more along the top of the hill here. In fact, we can even kind of work our way along here with the shape of the hill now. And now we're not way out here with all those big supports and stuff. But one thing I do want to do here is place the station really quickly and put it in test. And let's just see what that splash is like. It should be pretty good. And this gives us also a little bit shorter of a splashdown as well. So we don't have all that extra length added on. And I think that will work just fine. Maybe we can even do some sort of scenery in here or something. I don't know. It remains to be seen. But now we can kind of work our way on from there. Maybe we have... Maybe we do a little extra chain lift along here. Because eventually I want to work our way back down. You know, down the mountainside or, you know, and figure it out from there. So now we can just work backwards, I think. And I don't want this to be a super short log flume. You know, I want there to be a little bit to it. Maybe we can do something... You know, like I want to have a couple, at least one more drop in here. This is just an experiment. I'm not going to make it like that. You know, so I want to have a short drop. Then the long, like the big drop here. And then this is kind of a mild drop. Normally I'd put something like this towards the end of the ride. You know, you kind of want to build up to the final drop, but that's okay. And another thing I wanted to try eventually. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of that really quick. Yeah. So this can all be experimented with. What did I want to try? Oh, yes. I want to see if we can make this drop a little more extreme. And I think this piece here is going to give us some issues. But I want to see what it would take to make this drop sort of the mild one. Yeah. So, okay, I see what's going on here. So, we have a little lift here, which is what I would want, but that's going to affect our little lift hill here, which actually works out. We can make that happen one block earlier. So that gives us 2 decent drops along here. Oops, I think we want to go like this. Yeah. And then, yeah, I think that's fine. We can even bring this path out a little more now here in a moment. We don't have to, though. But yeah, so now we have a bit steeper of a drop here, which I like. We can come back here to our terrain surfaces and then just get the rock entrance again and place that in there. I think like so. I think we'll want to make it a little bit more elevated. There. And that also will add a nice head chopper element, because right as they go over this edge, all they're going to see is this rock face here. And yeah, I think that'll make the end a little bit more thrilling and make this drop, this splashdown a little nicer. So let's put it back into test mode and kind of see how that looks. Oh, we need a station here, don't we? 1 second. All right, let's try this now. Come along here. Of course, there's our first big splash. And that'll come along into the little mountaintop here. And then the big final splash. And I realize we're not going to see how the splash actually looks because it's in ghost mode, but that's okay. Oh wait, we can see it there. I don't know why we saw it on the diagonal, or didn't see it. But along it moves. Very nice. Yeah, I just noticed too under here, a couple terrain tiles appear to be lifted up. That works better. Okay. And now I guess we can see it with a real log. And you know, I want this to be, like, I don't want it to be a huge long log flume, but I want it to be long enough that we can pass some various points of scenery and stuff like that. And maybe tell a very loose story with it. Alright, here it comes. I don't care for how long it takes these to slow down. Maybe we can go to low friction mode and see how that looks. And let's test it again. Because I want the splashdown to take a little bit longer to slow things down. Just so it's a little more realistic. Alright, let's see how this is with low friction. Oh yeah, a lot better. Look how further it got, and look how big that splash was. And let's try it again down here. And okay, it went a little bit further, I think, but that's okay. So I think that's going to do it for that. I think we'll leave it on low friction mode here. And let's see what else we can do. So I want to bring it up a little bit out of the station, just so you know we can get a little bit of a boost into the first section of track. I think that puts us in a nice position too to just kind of come along the base of the mountain here and just weave our way around and kind of start to tell this story of, you know, the whatever story we're telling. Maybe we can even go along there. Yeah, that works. And, you know, just weave it nice and along. I want to get rid of this station here. That way our testing starts over here. And we can even bring up the number of cars. That way we can see multiple at once. Okay. Maybe we can even come along here. Maybe let's do this. Let's bring it up right away. And then let's just bring it around. Oops. Something like that. And then let's have just a little, well, okay, see, we're in experiment mode right now. So like we could have a little drop there, but that's kind of bigger of a drop than I want at the start of the ride this early. So we could try that, but I don't really care for the look of that. I don't want it to like kind of weave all around itself right at the beginning. So we'll just come along here. Maybe we can even go down a little bit, just get them kind of wet right away. I don't know. Or even like this. I think we just had it like this. There we go. I guess this will just give us a little bit more to work with. And you know, we'll have all that scenery as well, however we want to do that. So let's zoom out though, because I want to make sure we don't like take up too much space in this direction, because we want to have room for our pathway to move around and all of that. But I think we'll be okay here. So I think we can come up. Maybe we can come up over here. Let's see. And I don't know what it'll take. Okay, so if we go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, that gives us enough space for a mild drop along here, which I think could look nice. And then we can always put in a little splashdown pond here as well. We could even extend this one or something. I just want to check the heights here. So this is 1.31 feet. And over here it's 7.87. So we're going to need to come down further, but that's okay. I apologize if this is a boring episode. I'm almost boring myself doing this, but that's okay. And how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I think that's a good length for this little splashdown. And then, let's turn on our grid too, so we can see. Well, that works. I just want to make sure I have enough space between the path and this, which I guess I want a little bit more. So we'll do this. And then, yeah, do a little S-bend along here. And this will all turn into a pond and everything. Then we can do a tight turn here. And maybe use that to bring up the mountainside. I can't quite go there. Oh, yeah. I feel like we're going to cut into the terrain here in a minute. Oh, maybe not. Okay, and this will give us a nice amount of space to kind of set up for the big drop, I think. Let's go up a little bit more, though. I don't want to come too tall. One weird thing, too, about log flumes in this game, I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, the bigger they are, the more susceptible they are to, like, crashing. You know, there are certain coaster types, like log flumes, I guess not technically a coaster, but that, or even, what else? The wooden coaster, where they're just prone to crashing. I mean, like, you know, breaking down and everything, for reasons unknown to me. So, just something I guess we can be cautious about. I'm going to bring this back down and see if there's any better way we can kind of do this. Maybe we can come around like this. No. Or we can even go like this. No, that's not going to work the way I want it to. Unless we wanted to have an indoor section underneath here, but I don't really want to mess with that. Going indoors is one thing. Going indoors because you're underneath the terrain is a whole nother ball game that I don't want to mess around with right now. But that's okay. Okay, so we'll come through like this, kind of like we had it. But then, of course, that raises the question of, is this even how I want to do things? I don't know. All right. I think we were like that. What I don't like about this is right along the center line of our hill, and the only way to level out properly is right at the peak of our hill, if we don't want to interrupt the terrain. But I think at this point I'm okay interrupting the terrain just to get this a little better. I also want this to come down lower, this little lift hill before the big drop. And I don't mind messing up this terrain because, again, we're going to fix all this eventually. So we'll come along here. Maybe we'll come down a little bit. No, we can't do it quite yet. I guess one thing we could do here is, so we have our little drop in. If we did like an S-bend, maybe we could have a little pre-drop here. So kind of like a preview of the final drop, and then guests waiting off the ride can kind of see that as well. And then we'll come around this way. We can even do a little bit more of a drop along here. And then we can set up for the final drop, however we want to align with that. We come along here. I don't really want to go over this if we can avoid it. So, but I don't mind going over the water a little bit. This is kind of tricky because I don't want to have like a weird hairpin turn there. I guess we don't have to go down that far either. So let's see, are we lined up at least? No, not quite. So we'll have to bring around this curve a little bit further, but that's okay. Yeah, the only thing I don't care for is how wide those turns are, but there's not really a whole lot you can do about that. Maybe, well, let's see. I don't want to have too many drops in rapid succession either, because I was going to say we could even come down a little further like that. But I think I would maybe rather hold off. So let's just keep coming around like this. And will that work? Again, I don't like that hairpin turn though. So we have some figuring out to do. Although I suppose we could also just have a gentle turn like that and then just line it up on the grid or something. Actually, I think I have an idea. Let's go like this. And let's line it up with the hill in this direction. And then maybe we can do that. I don't know. Lots of fun. I apologize if this is a boring episode. I might have to cut some of this out. Like this may be a time lapse in the end. Or this could work. I think we're onto something now. Yeah, we're getting there. And but at this point, you know, I don't want to have too many lift hills. So I think what I want to do is get rid of all these diagonals, and we'll just do this. I don't mind having a little lift hill as like a pre-drop. Maybe we could come down here. Wait a minute. Let's check our heights. Okay. Just getting an idea here for how I can do this. Of course, we could always come in this direction, but like I said, I don't have too much crossing over. Fun, fun. We can even do this, maybe. Let's add a little more stuff up here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Idea time. Oh, I think we're onto it. Yes. Okay. I think this will do. Now, what I want to do, I want to see if I can do a little more with this little section. So let's come down. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to mess with it. I think when we do the terrain, that'll kind of work things out for us. Okay, I'm going to end this little scene here so I can save the progress we have made. And I think this is a nice layout for our log flume. I think this will work well. So, yes, I will be back in just one moment. All right, everyone. So I've come into my free look cam here just to see how things look from the midway. And I do really like how this drop is now more visible from the front. You still kind of have to walk a little ways back and come over here to see it. But now, you know, it fits along better with this little midway here. And I like the way it kind of wraps around here in the pond. So, and I like this, you know, I like the way it turned out up here with the little pre-drop here and wrapping around there. And I think, you know, you can kind of see that this is almost as tall as the mountain. But again, we used forced perspective with the mountain. So ideally it will look a little bit further relative to like the castle and stuff. Oops, where are we? And also with the way the trees are along here. Alright, sorry, not the trees yet. But when we adjust the terrain along here and put more trees in place to kind of mask things, I think that will help to make the log flume feel closer. You know, sorry, I bumped my mic stand. So if we have trees that are kind of taller than the log flume along here, it will make the log flume feel close, and then, you know, the mountain will still feel further away. And again, the main viewing point for the mountain is right here, kind of against the castle. So hopefully this should work okay. And, you know, again, we're not Disney here. We're like a regional amusement park working on, you know, somewhat of a budget. So, you know, the idea that, you know, everything is going to work out perfectly is, you know, we don't have to worry about that so much. So let's come back to our normal mode here. And let's start working on our terrain. I'm just going to grab the create hill tool. And we're not going to make this too large. In fact, what we can even do, let's grab flatten terrain. And just flatten it to a height a little bit below here. Let's grab it. I want to get it to a height where we just have enough room for our log flume supports. And, you know, we'll workshop it. And we'll come along here. Just little by little. And look. And now, as well, not having those supports be so big will, you know, help make this feel a little further away. It won't look so massive of a ride. We'll just come along here. And you know, we have stuff like here that's not cooperating, so we'll slowly, you know, refine that as well. Doesn't have to be perfect to start. But we'll come along like so. Let's grab our little zipper tool, and let's sort of bring all of these back together as well, these edges. Alright, and then we'll get our flatten tool again and just work on getting everything up to the right level along here. But let's get our zipper tool really quick and just zip up this edge here. And we can even get our little averager tool and even make this a little smoother along here. That's okay. Perfect. But now ideally from the front of the park this won't look as bad. Not that it looks bad, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's get our little delete tool and get rid of some of the plants along here so we can have better supports. And I don't know, it must just be this curve here that's preventing the supports along there. That's okay. We can also double check underground, make sure there's nothing that's blocking them, and no, it doesn't look like it. But one thing we can do to mask the lack of supports here, let's just do it really quick. Let's grab a medium sugar pine. Let me get rid of all these other options. Okay. Medium sugar pine, and let's just place it not under it. In fact, we may even want a large sugar pine for this. I'll just kind of place it right along in here. Let's make sure we get a really big one though. And that just kind of masks the fact that there are no supports, and we can even come along here. Let's get a medium sugar pine and place it right down here. Okay. It's not going to work quite like I thought it would, but that's okay. Just to kind of start that masking process. And we can even come along with more large sugar pines. And just kind of do some masking along in here, just to hide that side of the log flume. And maybe we can even come along these edges here and get some in here, just to sort of create a little forest for the log flume, and then they won't be able to see this lift hill and the big drop coming up, and it will take them even more by surprise. I think that'll work nicely. Like so. I don't mind having the flume a little bit visible on this hilltop here, as long as we kind of soften the edge between that and the mountain. So let's get some large sugar pines right in here, just to kind of work on that. And then let's get some medium sugar pines. And these will kind of help, you know, draw the eye back down towards where the mountain is. Let's see here. And then let's get some small sugar pines. So we kind of want to bring the height of the treetops back down to a lower point along here, and just kind of integrate these a little by little. That way the mountain will still be the main focal point. And let's just come into our free look camera so you can see what I mean. So kind of right up in there we have the large sugar pines, and then we go to medium and then to small, and that creates a nice line along here that kind of dips back down to open up this mountaintop. And one thing we can even do, I know I said in the last episode I'm not as concerned about how the mountain looks from this angle. Let's get rid of that one sugar pine just so that way it stands out even more right along here. And that helps the mountain just to work even better. And we can even come along like so and just kind of get rid of some of these sugar pines that are going to you know, really block it. But right along here, I don't mind having larger sugar pines because, again, when these are big and they're close, they'll make the mountain look even further away. But I think this will be a good sight line for the mountain. However, I'm not sure with the station here if that's even going to matter that much. So we'll kind of see how that works out. Maybe we'll move the station somewhere else. Like we could even maybe put it down there or something, but that remains to be seen. All right, let's come back to our normal camera. And what were we doing? Yeah, we were coming along here. That's right. Okay, so we can also, we could move this hill and get it nice and gradually, right along to here. But I want to save this flat area for a ride or an attraction of some sort. Or, it could be a restaurant or a gift shop, whatever it is. I just want to save it for that purpose. But this is already looking pretty good. And yeah, I like the idea of having, a log flume coming under here, and maybe they see, like the guests see a log flume going up and over the drop, so it kind of gives them that to look forward to. But I do want to soften this edge along here with the mountain. I know I just said I want to leave this area flat, but I can't ignore this too much. I want to soften this edge so I can put some more trees along there. Because one thing I don't care for, I know I put these trees in to mask the lack of supports, but I want this view when they're coming down this drop and coming around here to kind of be open so they can see the big drop that's coming along later in the ride. So I want to open that up. Oops, I deleted a tree by accident. Let's get another large sugar pine, and let's just kind of put it along in here. Like so. And that'll, mask this edge, but then as they come around here, they'll see the big drop. I think that will work nicely. And we'll just put some more sugar pines along here, and let's define, so let's see, we have a 3x3 space, so I want to leave that flat. So let's just come along here with some of these large sugar pines and just define that edge. That way we know this will be the area we kind of reserve for future projects. And I want to get our little zipper tool and just fix this little edge over here. There we go. And let's get our flatten tool as well. And let's just grab the height of the path here and bring this all along here. And I think we're good. I think that's still as flat as we need it to be, which is awesome. Another way we can kind of double check that is just turn on our grid here, and we'll be able to see if there's any bending in that tile. Last episode I mentioned using a checkerboard and being able to see the height or the way the edges interact with each other, I guess, and I realized after the fact you can also do that here with the grid, just to see how the terrain is actually shaped and how smooth it is. But we'll turn that off. Let's keep going. So along the mountaintop, I know this is kind of you're going through the forest on this log flume, but at some point, we can fix this edge too. At some point we want scenery, and I don't need to tell like a narrative story with this attraction, but I have an interest in making sure it's not completely boring. We want something of a storyline, or something that they can follow along with. So like right along in here we could put buildings or something. So I think what I want to do is flatten this terrain along here. Oh yeah, and that'll bring our supports back as well. We'll just flatten this terrain, and then we can use that to build some sort of scenery for the ride. And we can even, I know I don't want to go out here a whole lot, but we can even use a little bit more of this space to build with scenery and maybe make the log flume wrap around a bit more. But I think today I just want to focus on the mountain itself, and kind of making that another center point in the park before we kind of do anything else. So let's just come along here. Actually, I want to lower some of this down a little bit as well. Let's just do that. And then grab our flatten tool. That way we can flatten the bed of this little pond in here. As such. And then we'll use our zipper tool all along the edges. Yeah. And I know this is going to be a very jagged shape, so before I even see what it's like, I'm just going to smooth some stuff out with our smooth tool and what have you. So let's do our flatten tool first and just sort of shape out this pond a little bit more. We don't have to go into any great detail along here. And then we'll use our zipper tool again. Just get it right. Nice all along there. And then, there we go. And you can see we still ended up with some jagged edges. So let's come along with our smooth tool now and just round everything out. Perfect. I think that works nice. We'll have to get rid of this tree though. Yeah. Oh, and I remember the one thing I did say is maybe we can extend this pond all the way down here. Heck, maybe we can wrap it around the entire mountain or something. But yeah, we'll leave it like this for now. I also do like the idea of leaving this open for, you know, gift shops or something. So we'll figure that out in the future. But let's grab our mud paint and just come along here. Right along that edge. And then we'll grab our muddy grass and do it just like we did before. And we may need to go, I just realized we may need to go around that other edge on this pond. Yeah, let's do our muddy grass along here as well, just for consistency's sake. And I think we can maybe leave it. Yeah, we'll do that. Like so. There we go, and that just integrates it a little bit better into, you know, the terrain. And yeah, I think we're good to go along there. I realize we'll have to extend the planters and stuff down this way a little bit. But yeah, that can be something we do a little bit down the line when we focus more on developing stuff along here. It's like I may even bring this edge of the pond back a little bit. And maybe we'll do a gift shop or something here. Maybe not, because I do want to keep that view of the castle open. Just kind of thinking out loud here. Okay, let's come along with some more trees now. And let's do medium sugar pines just for the sake of our mountain. And let's just do sort of a diagonal line of medium sugar pines all the way down to here. And then we can work right back into the large sugar pines. We'll keep some along here as well, just for that view. And then we'll go back into large sugar pines in this area. I'm not sure. Let's flatten this out a little bit as well, just a little bit more. That way we can do that scenery along there. And because this is so steep, I want to come here with some dirt. And just where it's nice and steep, we can kind of paint some dirt. Yeah. And maybe like a little bit right in here, just to vary things a little bit. And I think that'll work nicely. We can even come along underneath the log flume here and add some dirt texture. Like that. We'll get it nice in this little thing here as well. There we go. I think that'll do. We can even use like the muddy grass texture along here, since the grass wouldn't grow as much on the forest floor. But I think I want to wait till I place all the trees to really focus on that. So let's get our large sugar pines. Yeah, I feel like we can do more for the log flume in this area as well on the top. Not sure, like maybe we can put a log cabin in or something like that. I don't really know what even the theme for this ride would be per se, so yeah. But we'll just start with this. And we may even get rid of these and go to medium sugar pines as well. Let's put some medium sugar pines in here just to break it up a little bit. Yeah, like maybe right on the actual mountain peak. We put it back to medium sugar pines. Something like that. And I'm not really concerned about how, creating forest perspective on this mountain either, because at this point this is meant to be more natural, and it's not meant to be, a large focal point for the park. So I'm not too worried about how it appears on that standpoint. We'll just put a couple more in here. I think this will work nicely, and maybe some along in here. Something like that. And I know, like, with forced perspective too, normally you do smaller plants and things towards the top, but I almost think having the larger sugar pines here almost will create an illusion of a steeper mountain, or a steeper hill, I mean. So let's come down here and free look. Because now the larger sugar pines are peeking up over the top of the medium sugar pines. So if we use medium all the way up, it wouldn't kind of come up to this little point up here, if that makes sense. So I think it will create the illusion of a larger hillside, and I think that will serve this just fine. Let's get rid of some of these along here though, now that we're looking, just so we can kind of see that track along there. And I think being able to see those different points of the log flume will kind of help build excitement for the ride, and guests can kind of see just how long it is. And it helps the attraction interact better with the park as well. But yeah, I think we'll leave this here for now. Log flumes tend to be, not always, but they tend to be older attractions. The log flume kind of dates back to, I want to say, like the 1960s is kind of when it was popularized, or at least more modern log flumes. So, in a park like this, a log flume would tend to have a little bit simpler of a theme and not tell so much of a story. As far as I know, like Splash Mountain at Disney was kind of the first time a log flume really told an in-depth story. I'm not an expert on my history of log flumes, so I could be completely wrong there. But that's kind of Disney being Disney in the way they build an attraction. But yeah, so I'm fine having a simpler story and making it more scenery based. Yeah, I think we are off to a good start here. Let's see if we can do this really quick. Okay, well, yeah, and then let's come over here. Let's just grab a girder, a wall girder, paint it gray. And then that will just make this look a little nicer, I think. There we go. All right. For now, I think that'll do. I'm going to come back to this in a little while. I'm guessing the episode is not going to end here. But I'm going to take a break. Just kind of let this sit for a little bit. And we'll go from there. But look, if we zoom out, our park is kind of coming along nicely. Now, now it is starting to look like an amusement park. So I'm pretty excited for that. I hope you guys are too. Yeah. All right. I will see you guys later. Hopefully for your sake, if you guys like the longer episodes, hopefully it'll be, in 1 second and not in 1 month, but we'll see. All right. I will see you guys in a little bit.